Imagine this. A machine is humming, the shift is busy, production is behind, and a worker thinks, I'll just lift the guard for a second. That single moment is where most accidents begin. And the strange part, the safety sign that could have stopped it is misunderstood. The bold, red, unmistakable "Do not operate without guard" sign is one of the most misunderstood signs in the entire industrial world. Today, we're breaking down why this simple sign confuses so many workers, why it's ignored, and how misunderstanding it leads to thousands of injuries. Welcome to Workplace HSE Explained, and this is part 1 of our deep dive into the most misunderstood safety sign on the shop floor. Let's start with the hook. Workers don't misread this sign because they're careless. They misread it because they think they already understand it. And that false confidence is dangerous. When workers see this sign, many assume it's a suggestion, a reminder, or something that applies only during maintenance. They think, I know what I'm doing, or I've done this 100 times, or the guard is slowing me down. The sign becomes background noise, something they've walked past so many times that it loses meaning. But here's the truth. This sign is not a suggestion. It's not optional. It's not flexible. It's a legal requirement tied directly to machine safety standards and regulations. When the sign says, "Do not operate without guard," it means the machine is designed to be safe only when the guard is in place. Without it, the machine is incomplete. It's like driving a car without brakes, technically possible, but catastrophically unsafe. So why do workers misunderstand it? Because the sign doesn't explain the why. It doesn't show the hazard. It doesn't describe the energy involved. It doesn't warn about entanglement, crushing, shearing, or ejection. It simply states a rule. And humans don't follow rules well unless they understand the reason behind them. In this first part, we'll explore the psychology behind why workers ignore this sign, how familiarity creates blind spots, and why production pressure makes this sign one of the most violated safety instructions in industry. And by the end of this series, you'll never look at this sign the same way again. Stay with me. Part 2 is where we dig deeper into the hidden hazards behind machine guards and why the danger is far greater than most workers realize. In Part 1, we uncovered why the "Do not operate without guard" sign is so misunderstood. Now, in Part 2, we're going deeper into the hidden hazards behind machine guards, the dangers workers don't see, don't feel, and don't think about until it's too late. And this is exactly why the sign fails. The risk is invisible, but the consequences are not. Let's start with the basics. Machine guards exist for one reason: to separate human flesh from mechanical energy. That's it. They're not there to annoy workers, slow down production, or make maintenance harder. They're there because machines don't care who you are, how experienced you are, or how quickly you want to finish the job. A rotating shaft doesn't negotiate. A cutting blade doesn't pause. A conveyor doesn't think. Mechanical energy is blind, fast, and unforgiving. But here's the twist. Workers often underestimate this energy because they see the machine running smoothly. No sparks, no noise, no warning. The danger is hidden behind normal operation, and when danger is invisible, the brain downplays it. That's why workers think removing a guard just for a moment is harmless. They don't see the entanglement hazard. They don't see the shear point. They don't see the stored energy waiting to release. They only see a task that could be done faster without the guard. This is where the misunderstanding begins. Workers assume the guard is optional because the machine still runs without it. They think, if the machine can operate without the guard, then maybe the guard is just an extra layer. But that assumption is deadly. The guard is part of the machine's safety design. Without it, the machine is incomplete, unstable, and unpredictable. The sign isn't warning about a minor risk, it's warning about catastrophic injury. Another reason workers misinterpret the sign is familiarity. When you walk past the same sign every day, it becomes invisible. The brain filters it out. It's the same phenomenon that makes people ignore fire exit signs or speed limit boards. Familiarity breeds blindness. And in industrial settings, that blindness is dangerous. Production pressure adds another layer. Supervisors push for output. Workers push for speed. Downtime becomes the enemy. And in that rush, the sign becomes a barrier to productivity instead of a barrier to injury. Workers start thinking, "I'll put the guard back later," or "this will take only 10 seconds," or "nothing has ever happened before." But safety isn't about what has happened, it's about what can happen. In this part, we've exposed the hidden hazards and the psychological traps that make this sign one of the most ignored warnings in industry. In Part 3, we'll break down the legal requirements, the standards behind machine guarding, and why ignoring this sign isn't just unsafe, it's a violation with serious consequences for both workers and employers. Stay tuned. Part 3 is where the reality hits harder. In Part 2, we expose the hidden hazards behind machine guards and why workers underestimate the danger. Now, in Part 3, we're stepping into the world of legal requirements, standards, and compliance, the part most workers never hear about, but the part that decides whether a workplace is safe, compliant, and protected from massive liability. Because misunderstanding the "do not operate without guard" sign isn't just unsafe, it's a violation with real consequences. Let's start with the foundation. Machine guarding is not optional. It's not a company preference. It's not a supervisor's rule. It's a legal requirement under global safety standards. Whether you look at OSHA, ISO 12100, ISO 14120, IS standards, or National Factories Acts, every regulation says the same thing. Moving parts must be guarded. Not should be, not when convenient, must be. And that's why the sign exists. It's a visual reminder of a legal obligation. But here's where the misunderstanding grows. Workers often think the sign is telling them what not to do. In reality, it's telling them what the law requires. When a worker removes a guard and operates the machine, they're not just breaking a rule. They're violating a safety regulation that could lead to fines, shutdowns, or criminal liability, depending on the severity of the incident. And employers are equally responsible. If a guard is missing, damaged, bypassed, or poorly designed, the company is accountable for failing to maintain a safe workplace. Let's break down the standards. ISO 12100 requires hazard identification and risk reduction. ISO 14120 defines guard design, strength, and durability. OSHA mandates guarding for rotating parts, nip points, flywheels, pulleys, belts, and cutting tools. Every standard emphasizes one thing: guards are primary engineering controls. They are the first line of defense, not the last. And when the sign says "do not operate without guard," it's referencing these exact requirements. Another layer of misunderstanding comes from maintenance teams. Many believe the sign applies only to operators, not technicians. But the law doesn't differentiate. If the machine is energized, if parts can move, if stored energy exists, the guard must be in place, unless the machine is locked out, isolated, and verified safe. Without LOTO, removing a guard is a direct violation of safety protocols. Supervisors also misinterpret the sign. Some think it's a production guideline. Others think it's a warning for new workers only. But legally, the sign applies to everyone, from the newest helper to the most experienced technician. And when supervisors ignore it, workers follow their lead. Culture overrides signage every time. In this part, we've uncovered the legal backbone behind the sign and why ignoring it creates massive risk for both workers and employers. In Part 4, we'll bring everything together: how to fix the misunderstanding, how to build a safety culture that respects guarding, and how to make this sign finally mean what it was intended to mean. Stay with me. The final part ties it all together. Welcome back to Workplace HSE Explained. In Part 3, we uncovered the legal backbone behind the Do Not Operate Without Guard sign and why ignoring it creates massive risk for both workers and employers. Now, in this final part, we're bringing everything together: the psychology, the hazards, the compliance requirements, and turning it into practical, real-world solutions. Because understanding the sign is one thing, but transforming that understanding into safer behavior is where real change begins. Let's start with the core issue. Workers don't ignore this sign because they want to get hurt. They ignore it because the sign doesn't connect with their reality. It doesn't show the hazard. It doesn't show the consequence. It doesn't show the energy behind the guard. So the first step in fixing the misunderstanding is education. Not generic toolbox talks, but targeted, visual, scenario-based training that shows exactly what the guard is protecting them from. When workers see real examples of entanglement, crushing, shearing, or ejection hazards, the sign suddenly becomes meaningful. Next comes culture. A workplace where supervisors say, "Just finish it quickly," or "We'll fix the guard later," will never respect the sign. Culture beats signage every time. To fix this, leaders must model the behavior they expect. If a supervisor refuses to run a machine without a guard, workers follow. If a supervisor tolerates shortcuts, workers follow that too. Culture is contagious, and safety culture starts at the top. Engineering controls also play a huge role. Many misunderstandings happen because guards are poorly designed, heavy, awkward, slow to remove, or difficult to reinstall. When guards are inconvenient, workers bypass them. But when guards are user-friendly, interlocked, and designed for quick access, compliance skyrockets. Good design removes temptation. Great design removes the possibility of bypassing altogether. Communication is another key factor. The sign alone isn't enough. It must be supported by clear procedures, visual cues, color coding, and consistent reinforcement. When workers understand not just the rule, but the reason behind it, compliance becomes natural. And when workers feel empowered to stop unsafe operations, the sign becomes more than a warning. It becomes a shared responsibility. Finally, accountability closes the loop. Not punishment, but responsibility. When workers know that operating without a guard puts the entire team at risk, legally, physically, and operationally, they begin to see the sign as a protection, not an obstacle. And when employers enforce guarding requirements consistently, the message becomes unmistakable. Safety is non-negotiable. So as we wrap up this 4-part series, remember this: the Do Not Operate Without Guard sign is not misunderstood because it's unclear. It's misunderstood because workers have never been shown the full story behind it. But now you know that story: the hazards, the psychology, the standards, the culture, and the solutions. And with that knowledge, you can transform how your workplace sees this sign forever. Thank you for watching Workplace HSE Explained. If you found this series valuable, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more high-impact safety content. Your support helps us reach more workers, prevent more accidents, and build safer workplaces everywhere. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video.